Start. Everyone hear me? Yes. Oh yay! Oh yay! Oh fuck! Can you guess what this is? This is something I shouldn't be holding. This is something that shouldn't exist at all. This is the recently leaked draft opinion from the Supreme Court, wherein they are going to overturn Roe v. Wade, a precedent that has existed in this country for the past 50 years. I read this entire opinion. Basically, the argument goes, any right not explicitly mentioned in the United States Constitution is a right that it doesn't automatically confer. By overturning the precedent of Roe, which allows the right to abortion, they are setting the stage to revoke other laws that are not specifically mentioned in the Constitution, such as the right to interracial marriage, marriage equality, access to contraceptions, even the right to engage in consensual homosexual relations, which was a crime in the state of Texas as recently as 2003. Hello, Toastmasters and guests. America is supposed to be one of the most progressive countries in the world. What happened? Several of our current sitting Supreme Court justices were questioned at their confirmation hearings about their views on precedent and on Roe v. Wade. Let's listen to what they said. Chief Justice John Roberts, at his confirmation hearing in 2005, said, quote, I do think it is a jolt to the legal system when you overrule a precedent. Precedent plays an important role in promoting stability and even-handedness. I would call this a jolt to us all. Neil Gorsuch, at his hearing in 2017, said, quote, that is the law of the land, referring to Roe. I accept the law of the land. Brett Kavanaugh in 2018 said, quote, precedent is critically important. It is the foundation of our systems. Amy Barrett in 2020 said, quote, judges can't just wake up one day and say, I have an agenda. I like guns. I hate guns. I like abortion. I hate abortion. And walk in like a royal queen and impose their will on the world. And then there's America's favorite man, Samuel Alito, the author of this draft opinion. At his confirmation hearing in 2006, he wrote, quote, Roe v. Wade is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. 16 years later, on page 6, he wrote this. Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. Chief Justice John Roberts borrowed that fancy word to describe the leak, and he said it was an egregious breach of trust. Senator Ted Cruz said the same thing. He said, quote, I'm completely flabbergasted at the egregious breach of trust it was to leak a draft Supreme Court opinion. Now, on a side note, people in law seem to love the word egregious. It's like their favorite go-to word when they just can't find any better word to describe their utter shock and contempt at something that's happened. It's as if maybe instead of calling the court to order with, oh yay, oh yay, oh yay, they should just say, egregious, 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 so that everyone can get it out of their system. But I digress. Precedent was much discussed. But in the end, it didn't much matter. Not only are they going to try to revoke laws that they don't like, they are also going to try to criminalize actions that are legal today. For example, lawmakers in Idaho are already proposing a law to make it a felony for parents of transgender children to take their children across state lines for gender-affirming medical treatment. The penalty? Potentially life in prison. It should be no surprise that states like Texas, Louisiana, and Alabama are trying to classify abortion as murder. So if a woman gets an abortion in one of those states, in the next few weeks, she could be tried for murder and could be convicted at trial and receive life in prison or the death penalty. This is egregious. So what can we do about it? I, for one, if I were serving on jury duty, would never, ever vote to convict a woman of murder for getting an abortion. I would never, ever vote to convict parents of transgender children for taking their child across state lines for medical care. We all serve jury duty in this country from time to time. If you're sitting on a criminal trial and you disagree with the law, throw it out and vote not guilty. This is what we can do. Now, a judge at the end of a trial will give an instruction to the jurors before they deliberate. And the judge will tell them, you must apply the law as I give it to you, whether you agree with it or not. But did you know that you can, in fact, vote your conscience? According to the FIJA, the Fully Informed Juror Association, quote, you have the right to vote your conscience, even if it means setting aside the law to conscientiously acquit someone who has technically broken the law. In other words, if you don't like a law, throw it out. Now, I'm not recommending that you would walk in and impose your will on the world like some royal queen. I am saying you'll be in very good company of 9 very smart people who decided to throw out a long-standing precedent because, as Clarence Thomas said, they were unwilling to live with outcomes with which they disagreed. God save this honorable